Hi, everyone, and welcome to Welcome Change, Ashoka new series where we meet with social entrepreneurs to hear what's working, what's next, and the role we can all play. My name is Maria Radkin, and today I'm delighted to be joined by Ugo Vallauri, Ashoka Fellow and the visionary force behind the Restart project, who I was lucky to meet recently at the Tech for Humanity Summit in Bilbao, and who is joining us today from London. Before we jump into the topic, just a reminder about the format. We have 30 minutes today. Ugo and I will chat for the first 20 minutes, and then we'll turn into a few questions from the audience. So if you are curious, there's any question you want to ask, feel free to ask on the Q&A box that you will find on the bottom of your Zoom screen. So Ugo, let's dive right in. You have championed a single but revolutionary idea. That is that every product should be repairable, and that repair should not only be accessible, but also affordable for everyone. This idea drove you to start the Restart Project, an organization that helps advance this vision by organizing repair parties, as you call them, repair events, or building repair directories, training new generations in these essential skills to be able to repair our gadgets, and most importantly, also advocating for a global right to repair. And you are also linking with this at the forefront of the global right to repair movement that is aiming to change legislation in order to make repair the norm. So I would love if you could start by sharing a glimpse on what you do, what does the Restart Project do, which is your mission, and how does it all connect with the broader right to repair movement that you have been pushing for a while now.
Thank you, Maria, and it's a pleasure to join you all today. So the Restart Project is a charity based in London that we created to really fix our relationship with electronics, which means a number of things. It means that we should all regain confidence and remember that we should repair all the products that we have when something goes wrong, and reconnect to the why all of this should be a priority. It's just the same as choosing more sustainable local food. Just in that same way, we should look at making the most of the things that we already have, extending their lifespan, and appreciating the environmental impact that all the materials involved in making these products have. And so there's not magic bullets, but repairing and reusing and slowing down the overproduction and consumption of products, particularly electronics, that fuel the amazing, incredibly problematic growth of electronic waste globally, is a big goal. And we've been celebrating the power of communities to bring back repair for everyone through restart parties and repair events across the world, but also looking at the systemic change that can be achieved by using the data from all the groups that collect, document what they repair and what they can't repair and the barriers they face, and using this to push legislators in Europe, in the UK, and globally to bring about the change in the way products should be built and supported, so that we can all collectively consume less, consume better, and slow down our need for new materials.
From what I'm hearing and what I know, like the repair movement aims for environmental sustainability, but also at the same time, it also talks a lot about like digital inclusion and accessibility, because they are both like very interconnected. So I would love to hear like how does making technology last longer affect digital inclusion, and how promoting the repairability of electronic devices can also ensure digital access.
Yeah, that's a really key point for us. The environmental motivation for doing all of this is quite obvious at this point. But whenever you extend the life of a product, it also means that a product that someone might no longer need becomes extremely useful to give access and tools to people that maybe wouldn't have had the chance to purchase a brand new product. equally, often people with limited resources are stuck in a trap of having to buy more throwaway products that last less and that need to be replaced more frequently for people that have other priorities. And so if we want to ensure a fairer access for everyone to the digital tools that we all need, slowing down the frequency which they need to be replaced actually impacts primarily those that can't afford to buy very high quality products today. So everyone shouldn't have to upgrade just because something goes wrong. And that is about environmental sustainability as well as digital inclusion.
Yeah, totally makes lots of sense, Ugo. And I think, well, we know that in the last few months and also last week, no, we have seen the EU take more concrete steps to reduce electronic waste. And right to repair laws could mean like extended warranties, better access to spare parts, manufacturers offering repairs post-warranty, these kind of things that have a lot to do with mean a shift in consumer rights and accessibility and also environmental policy. And I think people will love to hear from you. How do you see and what do you see as the most impactful aspect of the new directive for consumers and for the environment? What this can mean, which is like the bigger impacts this could mean.
Yeah, we're very proud that we're starting to see results of the work that we and others have put in for years and years. So we are proud to have co-founded the European Right to Repair campaign. It's a coalition that has over 140 organizations across Europe that have been pushing for ambitious legislation to support the right to repair. And we've seen some important moves. Until recently, the key changes that we had witnessed and pushed for were all about the design of products. So they're called eco-design. So specific legislation, regulation that becomes mandatory for anyone wanting to sell or distribute a product within the European Union to have to make it more repairable by increasing the number of spare parts available, or in the case of smartphones from 2025, having to support them with software updates for at least 5 years after the product is no longer on sale, which is one of the big issues that we're seeing, so that products are abandoned by manufacturers. So this is starting to change. And we're also seeing products become more durable by law. Again, the phones will have to withstand more falls before the screen breaks, and it will be they will have to retain more capacity in their batteries before you need to replace the battery. But in parallel, we're also seeing regulation that will become mandatory from 2027, so that for the vast majority of consumer products, normal people like you and me, shall be able to replace the battery of their device. So it will have to be redesigned so that it's easier for people to do this. How many times has it happened to any of you that you end up abandoning a device because the battery is gone and it's either too complicated, too costly, or impossible to perform? So this is a big aspect. What's happened in the last few weeks is that we got to the final stage, a confirmation of a right to repair directive, which looks at the consumer rights aspects of repairability. So not the way future products will be designed, but the way consumers will be protected, for example, by requiring that manufacturers of some products will have to offer a repair service also beyond the end of the warranty or guarantee, or making repair options visible through like a global, a European-wide map tool, helping people to get a sense of where they can find repair options. And finally, more importantly for us, actually help starting to define the need for more affordable repair by mandating that spare parts and repair options should be reasonably priced, so not to deter people from actually repairing. So this is a very contentious issue because not that many, well, the lack of a precise description of what does reasonable mean is likely to result in a few years' time in lawsuits and other complications, but it's a starting point. What's the main worry about that legislation is that despite the big media publicity that it got and a lot of hype, it only affects a small number of categories of products. So only products for which there already are some eco-design requirements. So products that are already designed to be repairable. So it doesn't apply to your headphones. It doesn't apply to your stereo, to your blender, to your coffee maker, and many, many other products. And so people don't know about this. The only thing that applies for these products is in case you choose for the product to be repaired rather than replaced within the warranty period, you get as a bonus an extra year of warranty, which might help, but only for some people. So we really need to continue pushing and to get financial and other incentives to make repair the norm for all products, because the people that want to repair their smartphones also want to repair their coffee makers.
Definitely. I think there's a long way to go, and something that maybe we should stop listening, no, is like it's cheaper to buy a new one rather than to repair it, no? That's something that I have heard from my sister, my friends so many times, and I think, yeah, there's a long way to go, and amplifying the range of products this covers is one step, and probably there's many others. And while law is progressive, we know that no legislation is perfect. So I would love, I mean, you already started giving a glimpse of the gaps that you see in this EU's approach, but maybe, I don't know if there's anything else, but also I would like to hear if there's any examples where reparability has been effectively incentivized, or if there are like countries that are leading the way on this, and which lessons can we learn from them?
Yeah,
So gaps and lessons.
yeah, so the another aspect that we'll have to see how exactly it plays out is around some ongoing battles between manufacturers and consumers when it comes to new software-related barriers coming in the way of repairers being able to reuse spare parts or use the compatible spare parts, which are not necessarily designed by the manufacturer and could indeed reduce the costs. But until now, there's been a practice called parts pairing, which basically can reduce the functionality of parts if they don't have the exact serial number that is required by the manufacturer. This legislation aims to start making a difference on this and reducing the power of manufacturers to use to weaponize the use of software anti-repair, but we'll have to see how it actually plays out, because the problem with a lot of this legislation is the gray areas and the way that it gets interpreted to find loopholes. And so campaigns such as the European Right to Repair will have a lot of work going forward in unmasking this greenwashing. So the positive aspect, which this legislation starts putting an emphasis in, is in the importance of measures that look at, for example, financial incentives that can reduce the cost that consumers have to pay for getting a repair done. And so the directive, which will have to be adopted in each of the 27 European Union countries, does recommend that each member state adopts a number of measures to promote repair, including, but it's not guaranteed, but including measures that could be so-called repair bonus or repair vouchers, which can effectively reduce also up to 50% the cost of a repair. And some exciting examples already exist of this in Austria, as well as in France, as well as in parts of Germany, where schemes are allowing people to get an immediate instant discount of up to 50% of the cost of a repair when they need to do it. So this can make a big difference also because it can apply to any product that people already have in every category of products and not just future products that become available. So this is very promising as a way to reduce the allure of just substituting a product. We think that promoting repair vouchers that can really reduce the cost of performing a repair by 50%, for example, or even if it's a bit less, can have a huge impact because it can reduce substantially and tangibly the big perceived barrier to repairing, which is often the cost. Another way that this directive could really support consumers is if member states adopt the measure of promoting more financial support to community repair initiatives, such as the ones that we've been supporting and championing for the last decade. So it's exciting, but it's just the beginning of a much bigger push that luckily is not just happening in Europe, but there's interesting activity and very innovative legislation coming out of the US. I was just reading about similar ideas in India, in New Zealand, in Australia. So we just need to unlock all of this for everyone, really.
Yeah, hopefully these repair bonuses and vouchers is something that becomes a reality sooner than later. And yes, now like thinking about the implication of the EU law, no, and also thinking of it at a global level, which are some of the implications or impacts do you feel it can have in international like markets and policies on electronics? So now that you're thinking about other countries, yeah.
Yeah, one of the exciting areas of the European side of policy making around repairability is that by trying to address the design of products, it can have a broader impact than just in Europe, just by default, because it's obvious that many manufacturers are likely to not have two versions of the same product, one for the EU and one for outside of the EU, but having to invest in designing for repairability, it might become more prevalent. The second aspect is that when legislations about, for example, demanding that software support is available for longer, again, it's something that goes beyond what a manufacturer might do for its products or for one country. So immediately, if you see, for example, take a smartphone, if you see a smartphone whose support lasts for 10 years, even if it ends up in a different region of the world as a refurbished product, that refurbished product will be more interesting and useful if it's fully supported and not just quickly becoming potentially useless for people. So hopefully this will have also an impact in reducing cases of products that are discarded and then sort of donated maybe elsewhere in the world with the hope they'll be useful, but they become quickly electronic waste elsewhere. So, but I think really what's exciting is also taking a step back and redefining what does right to repair mean globally. And I think in a very kind of privileged Europe, right to repair, meaning, making sure that it's a little bit more comfortable to get something repaired is one thing. But if we look at a global understanding of the challenges in accessing the materials and all the products to satisfy the growing demand of every community, which, everyone should have the right not just to repair, but also to access products that they need. We might take a different route, or probably a bit more radical in looking at how right to repair should truly help reduce the consumption of new materials that often come from communities in the global majority and the global south that are more deeply affected by the extractivist approaches of manufacturers that make throwaway products. So it's not just so that your own laptop can last an extra year, but what if we start looking at it from the perspective of reducing the exploitation of resources at a global level? That kind of gives right to repair a whole new meaning, which I think will benefit from more, deeper cooperation between communities across the whole world.
Definitely, such a there's so many angles to it and dimensions, and I think we need to look at it from the consumption side, but also from the production side, no? And yeah, I think this you were now mentioning, no, exploitation. We have a question from the from Simon that also kind of link with this. He asked that repair requires far more human labor than replacement. So he's asking if this is a bottleneck and what must be done to ensure those are great green jobs for many millions of people.
Yeah, exactly. So it's actually a great opportunity if we start looking at how repair can provide meaningful jobs that often are missing in local communities. Also, repair cannot be completely localized. So also to make it more obviously useful, it's about reducing some of the financial costs that independent repairers have to put in to be able to operate. And so one way been also reducing or removing VAT, for example, on repair services, so that it becomes more appealing to people to choose, for example. And if you look, there's data that shows clearly how creating a repair economy creates, for the same amount of resources, hundreds, if not thousands, more jobs than a recycling economy. So if we look at that, I mean, what we really need to do is kind of dismantle the current vision of a circular economy, which is actually basically a slightly glorified version of recycling, and look at the real circular economy that we all deserve, which is about making indeed the most of things, deprioritizing recycling and prioritizing reuse, repair, and slowing down the pace at which everyone needs to upgrade a product. So it's deeper than just coming to terms with, oh yeah, this product uses recycled aluminum, so it's okay. No, what matters is that we all consume less and that we support those that can have meaningful livelihoods out of repair and reuse and remanufacturing.
Thank you, Ugo. This is so insightful, and I feel now when people look into their phones after this, seeing us now online, they probably they will look at the system around their mobile phones in a deeper way, no, that they did before joining, maybe. So yeah, thanks for that. We have another question. Stefan says, "Love this topic. Fostering a repair mindset among consumers is critical and can also feel overwhelming to consumers in our throwaway culture. Have you seen any good frameworks for helping consumers prioritize our efforts? For example, which items beyond electronics are both relatively impactful to repair and relatively easy to learn how to repair?"
Well, I think, thank you. That's a great question. I would want to comment one thing that I think we try as much as possible to concentrate on a throwaway economy rather than a throwaway mindset, because it would be too easy to point fingers to individual behavior, but the barriers are really systemic. And so looking at how we are kind of forced into this collectively by lack of an infrastructure that incentivizes better practices, I think that's a better way to do it. So an example, of course, is the textile industry. Obviously, I mean, actually it's more advanced there in a way. I'm looking at just legislation that just recently passed, the new eco design for sustainable products legislation, another directive in Europe that for the first time will actually ban the destruction of unsold goods for textiles. So why am I mentioning this? Because clearly we live in a world where there's an overproduction of these products and a push to just churn out more and more rather than ensuring longer lasting products. If it becomes banned, the destruction of whatever stock was not sold, perhaps manufacturers might start thinking a bit differently about the kind of added value that they can provide with, you know, maybe more repair related services that they can offer rather than trying to sell you more and more stuff. So that's one way. Of course, it's not for everyone to learn a repair, you know, mending your clothes or fixing your own electronics. And that's not exactly what our movement directly advocates. I mean, we support community initiatives, and they're like at the heart of all of our work, not because every single person should by default repair their own phone, but everyone should have the right to choose whether to fix it themselves, to get help at their community center, to go to the manufacturer's official authorized repairer, or to support a wonderful independent repairer. And that is the conversation. Then luckily there's a number of people that really want to learn and be more self-sufficient, and that's great, and we should support them as much as possible, but appreciate that it's not for everyone, and try to work with that.
Yeah, I think we definitely don't need to put like all on consumers, but we have like lots that we can do. And actually this conversation is making me reflect of the times I've opted for a new phone instead of fixing the one I already had, no? And I suspect many people on the audience are maybe asking themselves similar questions. So I would like to ask you, Ugo, what do you suggest we as everyday consumers can do to support the longevity of our electronics and maybe more actively participate in this right to repair movement? Or how can like someone that is listening to us now begin to make tangible impact in their like choices and maybe in their community?
Yeah, so I'd like to suggest 3 different layers. One is like everyone should care, and that's why we say fixing our relationship with electronics. We should care about the things that we already have, and that means protect them, maintain them, try to protect them from breaking to begin with. So prevention is always important, and get involved. If you haven't yet, do try to join your local community repair group, even just once. It's truly transformational to actually open something with the help of someone that has more experience. It really empowers you to start thinking differently about the compromises that we're pushed to take. So that's one. At the second level, I think, you know, we should question the visible overproduction and consumption that we experience directly. So in the same way as you should refuse single-use products that are, or question why you are given a single-use fork or paper or plastic cup, you should also question why the company where you work replaces, upgrades their laptops or their phones, if they have phones, every 2 years, every 3 years. Why our cities have procurement policies that don't put repair in practice, and they don't question, you know, upgrade cycles and the likes. And finally, you, depending on what region of the world you're tuning in, try to look for right to repair movements. If you're in Europe, you can find at repair.eu. If you're in the UK, the Restore project is very active and just brought to the UK Parliament Repair with a wonderful event, really trying to ask for a more joined up approach to legislation that can unlock real change. And so you can find the repair and reuse declaration in the UK, and in the US there's a phenomenal movement, but I'm really eager to support all the movements that are yet to become mainstream. And so how can we connect? So if you have ideas about bringing a right to repair movement to your own country and you're from a different country, please get in touch. We'll love to help and connect you to those that we already know are active.
Yeah, so you have heard, Ugo. I love this idea of getting at the heart, and then like join your repair community, and if there's no one, maybe it's the sign to start building it up.
Start your own. Yeah,
Yeah, and maybe
absolutely.
grow the movement all across the world. There was a fun, well, interesting question in the chat that is, Ugo, what is the product that you are personally most proud of keeping around for the longest?
So oh yes, I'm wearing it now. It's a watch that it's a solar powered watch that I received as a present from my parents in 2006, and it was 2005. And as I was about to move to live in Kenya for a few years, and right, that experience of living in Kenya actually inspired a lot of the thinking behind what happened next with the Restart project. It's one of those experiences that change you. And I've had it now for almost 20 years. At one point, it stopped working completely. And a number of repair shops were saying, no, we don't want to open this because in any case, it will be super rusty and you would accuse us afterwards if it no longer works. Eventually, I found a small shop because I wasn't sure about doing it myself that was able to replace the battery that gets charged by the solar cell. And so I have, again, another 5 to 10 years of extra life for a product that, has lasted me a lot longer than the one smartwatch that at one point I bought out of curiosity and didn't last more than 1.5 years, maybe. So that's something I'm really proud of, although I haven't actually fixed it myself more than changing some bits. So
But beautiful, nice. I think, this idea that all products used to last longer, I find like it's definitely a reality, no? Like, so
yeah, and maybe sometimes there's a product that you really want to keep also because newer versions are actually worse. Like they're too big for you, you don't like them, you're quite okay with what you have. And I guess we need the right to say no to having to just succumb to this premature obsolescence scheme. So let's all say no and enough being too nice with these manufacturers.
the right to repair and the right to say no. Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Ugo. We have a few more questions in the chat, but I'll go for a wrap-up question because we are a bit over time. I'd like to ask you to end with a bit of hope, or maybe not hope, but like thinking more on the future. When when looking 10 years ahead from now, what are some of the things that you like to see, and which ones do you imagine disappearing or not existing anymore?
So I would like to see that many manufacturers will have moved away from releasing a new version of the same product every year or every 6 months, and just release one version and keep them believing it for years and years. And not just try to bombard us with more marketing about upgrading, because some might be telling you that they are all in favor of more sustainable everything, but then they're also funding schemes allowing you to keep upgrading every 9 months. So I think that's like a paradox of the push to theoretically being sustainable, right? And the one thing that I would like to also see disappear is all types of single-use throwaway products. There's been a lot of push around the disposable vapes, but it's just one thing. I mean, a few years ago, there were disposable battery chargers. So you could go to a supermarket and buy a thing that you will be able to only use once if you were out and about, to top up your phone once, and then becomes electronic waste. So I hope we can look back at all of these extreme paradoxes and just have better access collectively to what we really need to make the most of participating mindfully in our digital societies and not be surrounded by noise and useless products.
Thank you, Ugo. I think I would also buy that vision of the future. So yeah, as much as we love to keep it going into this important topic, I think this looks like a good wrap-up question for today's discussion. So Ugo, it's been a great pleasure having you with us today. And thank you everyone for joining, contributing with your questions. Ugo, it was super insightful and you shed light on a very crucial and timely topic. So I hope people really leave with new ideas and also new questions to reflect on. So yes, everybody, don't forget to tune in for the next Welcome Change. And that's it for today. Thank you everyone and goodbye. See you in the next one.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.